Hello everyone, this is Milja from Mimmit Koodaa program, and I'm so happy to see you all in here Friday afternoon. Let's go first through the house rules. We hope that you all are muted. You have options to ask questions via chat. Oscar will give his presentation, and during that time he will ask some questions via poll system or via chat. So keep in mind that and check out when Oscar asks you to do something. Also, if you have your own questions, feel free to add them all to the chat box, and we will go through those after the Oscar's presentation. As we all might know, Oscar is a trainer and has also written a wonderful book about the speaking in tech. And we will send you more information about the book and the Oscar and the trainings he provides. But let's enjoy this moment first and listen what Oscar has to say to us. And now, Oscar, it's your time. Please introduce yourself and let's go.
Thank you, Milja. Thank you very much for organizing, inviting me here to this Mimmit Koodaa community. I'm really happy to be here with you after the holiday breaks. And yeah, as Milja said, I am author of a book. Well, two books. The second book is this one. What is it? You can see it's called Rock the Tech Stage, with the story of successful speakers in the technology arena, their best practical advice. So part of that is what I'm going to share with you today, because I know that many of you might be already interested in speaking and speaking more and better. And of course, for the one who have not started, I strongly recommend you as a powerful tool to have your ideas spread and move in your career, forward in your career. So I'd like to start with a question. And now just think of the most recent one or two most recent technology breakthroughs, biggest innovations, new product, amazing pros, the recent thing. Just try to remember that for a moment. Try to think of those for a moment. And now I'll ask you, this innovation, these products, this technology breakthrough came from well-known people and well-known companies, or came from names that you never heard before? Well, most likely has come from well-known names, such as I can show you now some of them. Recently, we had Richard Branson. Recently, we have Jeff Bezos going to the space. Those went to the mainstream media. And very rarely, it's normally like that. These are the main breakthroughs, products, or we hear. And very rarely we hear about unknown names or less known names, such as, for instance, this company, there's a Finnish company that produces a textile fiber in Finland that is used for Patagonia, for instance. There might be some other good uses of blockchain, etc. So these are very rare examples, and that tells you how difficult it is to stand out. It's very difficult to stand out, because at the same time we hear about the big names. There are a lot of companies, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of engineers who are doing amazing stuff, solving today's biggest problems. And one of the reasons they fail or they never get enough traction is because they fail in communicating their ideas effectively, so people find them and spread the word. So that exactly is the mission and embark in these days, to help people in the technology industry to become amazing communicators and speakers. So to spread your ideas effectively, not only you have to communicate effectively, to me, you have to inspire others. So your ideas are not only heard, understood, but also shared and shared. So I would like you to become outstanding speaker in tech. Now I have a question, and for this question, we have organized a quick interactive poll. So if please, Sana or Milia, help me on that. I would like to have an idea of this audience that are here with you. So we'd like to know, how often do you speak in tech events? If we can take 1 minute, please answer that in this four answer, and to have an idea how it is, how you are.
Sanna, saatko pollin käyntiin? Se ei näy mulla.
Joo, poll on käynnissä ja 41 on vastannut tällä hetkellä.
Okei, mulle ei näy täällä ollenkaan. Sorry, there's a question in chat. Could you ask the speaker to share his screen? At least I'm seeing Oscar's screen. There's also somebody's having mic open. We can hear the Marika. Could you unmute yourself? I have no permissions for that. Thank you. And if you are struggling to see Oscar, please, on the upper corner, right corner, there's a view button, and you can choose gallery view or speaker view, and then full screen, and you should see Oscar's screen. Also, Elena says that when you see the screen of Oscar, you can pin it when you open the free 3 pistettä ja saat sieltä auki pin options. Sorry, let's go again.
Yeah, thank you, definitely. Yeah, I'm using a virtual webcam, means that I appear as my slides and my video appear as a camera, so it's not a separate presentation. Yeah, thank you. I think many of you have answered, so I will put end poll. And I guess, okay. So the results show that once a month of more often is quite 4% only, 21% is a few times a year, 19% is once a year or less often. And actually more than half, 55%, have never spoken in tech event. Wow, interesting. There's a lot of, I'll give you a lot of reasons to do it, but it's interesting to see. I was expecting that many would be like in the middle, the ones who speak. Even myself, I speak a few times a year. In the last year, I've been speaking just a few times a year. I'm now speaking more in this year, but often it's like that, just a few times per year. I never done like once a month or so, not yet. The most common is like that, just a few times per year. Okay, excellent. So thank you for sharing that. So I have an idea of how much you're already speaking. So as I said, the book I wrote, Rock the Tech Stage, besides the stories and the technical advice, this is organized in 10 secrets or 10 tactics or tools that most of the speakers, the most successful and well-known and effective speakers use. They use, not every speaker use these 10 tools, these 10 secrets, but most of the successful speakers use quite many of them, might use 5, 6 of them. And that makes their talks very, very rich and memorable. So from today, I'm going to share you not the 10 ones, but I will focus on three of them. And later I will talk also about how to get started in speaking in technology. So from these three, the first one is ignite us with passion. Passion is contagious, and it's something I have to admit. Passion is when I send my my proposal of a book to the publisher. Passion was not among the 10 tools or tactics or secrets, but I learned after interviewing successful speakers, analyzing others. The passion is key, and it's one of the 3 I would strongly recommend to pay attention, and you will see how. passion is contagious. You might notice that in some speakers. Sometimes you just pay attention to them because yeah, they have the passion, and you want to hear, and you follow them. This is also one technology breakthrough that came just a few years ago. That was the first photo of a black hole. That also something that came in the CNN, any big mainstream media. It came about. But interesting thing is that there was, of course, a set of observatories, the best telescopes in the world, in different locations geographically, many countries, many scientists working there. But also, you can say in the back scene, there were also developers, there were computer scientists who were developing and polishing algorithms to process that information and create the image that you see right now. And one of the leaders of that team of developers was Katie Bauman. You might have heard about her. So 2 years before the achievement, so around 4 years ago, she gave that TED talk when they were still telling, we are in this project, this is our goal, we want to have the first photo of a black hole. And please watch this TED talk he had, because you can see her passion is amazing, it's super contagious, I can say. You can also almost feel that she's going to jump out of excitement about science, excitement about the algorithm. It's truly contagious just listening to her. Then another example is another person I will show you now is how often you hear people who are praised for being passionate. Well, I just praise Katie Bauman, but it's not common. People don't praise too much about that. There's another person who has been praised publicly. I found many tweets, and he's Panos Panay from Microsoft, the product, I think it's VP of products for the Surface product of Microsoft. And there are many tweets like that, where just praising him for being passionate about the products and passionate about the industry and everything he does. He's an amazing speaker also. He has many of the tools that I mentioned, but passion is one of the ones that stands out in him particularly. So passion is very important. So, but how to use, if you say, I don't communicate so passionate today, I don't express myself so passionate today, so what can I do? Something that is very important to get started is this, as simple as that. Choose topics that you're already passionate about, that, because that will make much easier to find stories that that complement those topics. It will be much easier to have the motivation to speak on that. So that's very important. That's one of the starting points when you want to choose, oh, what should I speak? Think of your passion is something that will help you a lot, and it will be very very genuine, your passion, of course. So I think about the passion is very important. But before going that, what happens if you have to speak? Maybe your boss, maybe your company wants you to speak. Maybe in one organization, well, nobody else wants to speak, and you feel, that's important to speak. So for some reason you have to speak, but the topics are not so passionate about that. You maybe have to give reports, talk about one product. What would you do in that case when you speak? You have to speak something that you are not super passionate about, like, let's say. So one of the best advices for me is to connect one existing passion that you have, or strong interest. It can be in technology, because I think most of us are passionate about something in technology. That's why we are in this field. And also can be passionate about hobby, can be a sport, can be some cause that people are supporting many causes on these days. So you're definitely passionate about that. For instance, if we make a parallel between, I am a marathon runner, and I have to speak about software development project that is it's going to be long, tedious, uncertain. So you might not feel so passionate about talking about that because this uncertainty is difficult. But if you make the parallels between running a marathon, where you need the motivation, the endurance, the consistency, you use those parallels to talk about a difficult project where the same is long, there will be many hurdles. You can make these parallels. You can talk more passionately, making the parallels using the story in this another topic. All in all, I hope this advice help you to reconsider exploring your passionate topics when you speak. Now, passion, as I said, is contagious. If you speak passionately, people will pay attention to you. But you also want that at the end of your talk, you talk about in 1 hour, and long meeting, you talk a short talk, 15, 20 minutes. You want that not only people remembers you, they'll say, oh, she was very passionate, I like her enthusiasm, but I don't remember what she was talking about. No, you want that people remember your message very well. So they will remember your message. What is the best tool for that? It's stories. It's different stories, and it's something that you have been mostly hearing about stories, the importance of using stories. And I call this humanized technology with stories because stories help you in several ways, but especially in technology, humanize. And I will show you how with a few examples. So first of all, I would like to have some, if you can put in the chat one question, asking you why you should tell stories. Just put something, just one line on the chat, please. Let's get some of your answers on the chat. Okay, there seem to be a few already. If Milja, can you share the,
Yes.
please?
We are having here lovely question answers. I said myself that I want to make a change and inspire via stories. And Mia says people can relate and remember easier. Irina said because of the engagement. And Essi said stories are easy to remember. Sana, understanding the subject is easier. People can relate to stories, people remember, to make it more interesting, to make it fun, something that people can connect. And a lots of these relating, understanding, remember, and being inspired and interested. And thank you for the audience for high interactions with Oscar's questions. Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to everybody. Thank you, Milja, for sharing the answers. And I absolutely agree. I would share three reasons with some examples. Yeah, many mention people remember. Yeah, stories stick in people's mind. That's one strong reason. And people remember stories. So I'll give you just one example, and you might have probably have seen this photo, or probably seen the whole video of the commencement speech at Stanford that Steve Jobs gave. And I went to see the transcript, so text, went to see the text, and it's brilliantly structured in 3 stories, 1, 2, 3 stories. But the stories I've been asking people, and the story that most people remember is the first one, the very first one. So his early stories. And his early story is about dropping out from the college, but he was a failure story. But he stayed in the campus and he learned calligraphy. And because of that, because of failing learning calligraphy, had the opportunity to learn calligraphy, is that I think 6 or 7 years later, he was successful with Macintosh, which at that time was definitely by far the best the best personal computer with a powerful, intuitive, and beautiful user interface, because nobody has done in that time. And it came because he had learned calligraphy, he learned all about the aesthetics. So that's a story that I've been talking with many people, and most people, if they have watched this video, they remember that story. Yeah, people remember stories, absolutely. The second one, to me, this is most powerful. Stories humanize technology. And how is that? It's related to understanding also, how to make it understanding. And I'll share here a video. I will shortly share a video by Jane Marin Shen. She is from the founder of Embrace Innovation. I'll just show the video and you will see. So just a moment.
Please close your eyes and open your hands. Now imagine what you could place in your hands. An apple, maybe your wallet. Now open your eyes. What about a life? What you see here is a premature baby. He looks like he's resting peacefully, but in fact he's struggling to stay alive because he can't regulate his own body temperature. This baby is so tiny he doesn't have enough fat on his body to stay warm. Sadly, 20 million babies like this are born every year around the world. 4 million of these babies die annually. But the bigger problem is that the ones who do survive grow up with severe long-term health problems. The reason is because in the first month of a baby's life, its only job is to grow. If it's battling hypothermia, its organs can't develop normally, resulting in a range of health problems from diabetes to heart disease to low IQ. Imagine, many of these problems could be prevented if these babies were just kept warm. That is the primary function of an incubator. But traditional incubators require electricity and cost up to $20,000, so you're not going to find them in rural areas of developing countries.
Okay, that's the way. That's the way how she started a few of her talks. This is one example of her talks, and what she's doing. She started with a story, but the story not only explain what the technology does, which it does, but at the same time is being very human, very giving this personal touch. You are feeling this. You don't only understand. Okay, this incubator, an affordable incubator is important. No, you are feeling. You know the human side of this. You know that this is not only this is important. So this is an important product. So this one example like this is how stories can not only make technology understandable, they also humanize technology. So it's brilliant how she did in this case. Third reason for telling stories. Also here I will share you a very short video. And I think someone mentioned, I don't remember in which word they said, but yeah, your audience wants to know you as a person. So it's an opportunity to show something about your person. And here again, I will show an example. There is one, actually she is a developer, Spanish, she's Soledad Penades. She used to work for many years for Mozilla. So I will now show you again a short video.
I
it's not here. We cannot hear or see.
Okay, okay. Okay, I will do it again. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. I'll do it again, share again. Something went wrong when I share, so I will do it again.
It started, but then it stopped.
So the audio was working at first, but not. Yeah, okay, I will try again.
Now it looks promising.
I used to be in the DevRel team. I just moved to the Firefox DevTools team because I wanted to make the tools better. So I'm now an engineering manager there. And I'm also Spanish, as you can say. I'm not very, sounding English, very English. So because English is not my first language, I do things that native speakers don't, which is wonder about the language. So when I hear expressions like, it's raining cats and dogs, I'm like, what? So I went to the internet and I searched what that means. And it brings you back to an old time where the streets were full of rubbish and dead animals. And when it rained so hard that it would just carry away all the dead animals. So that's what it means that when it's raining cats and dogs. And another expression that has been interesting to me lately has been going against the grain.
Okay, so you could hear now this time, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. There was something weird there. Going against the grain is there are two expressions there. She shows it's raining cat and dog. It's a bit funny. And the second one is going against the grain, which actually going against the grain is a phrase that it means something like doing things unnecessarily difficult, going against the grain. That phrase, she used it for the rest of the talk for the main topic of her talk, but she decided to start with this a bit more funny anecdote of struggling with the language. And why this is interesting, why this section and using stories is interesting, because by telling I'm a foreigner in UK, in London, and I struggle with the language, that allows you for the audience to connect, because many people in the audience will say, oh yeah, I'm also like me, I'm Peruvian, live in Finland, I struggle with the Finnish language. So there are many ways where people can connect just with this anecdote. So stories help to people know you a bit more. We will like you a bit more. That's what usually happens. So these are the three reasons, main reasons to use story. There are others. There are definitely others, but you've seen very good examples on those three. But now, as I said, with passion, you ignite people pay attention to you. With stories, people will remember you. You connect with people, you humanize, people will remember your message. They're touched by the stories you said. But also we are at different times. We are now in different times. Things have changed, especially in the last 16, 18 months, in which we are we're speaking in this way mostly, like using Zoom, another video conference tool, online conference, etc. That's the most common way. Online meetings we do very, very often. And one of the problems is the interaction is very difficult now. So that's why for me, the third one is what I call teletransporters to your living room. So I want you to feel, as a speaker, I want you to feel that we are together, we are in my living room, everybody, we are in the same place. That's the level of connection that I want to achieve. And how we achieve this interaction. One good tool, a very simple tool, is just asking questions. Asking questions is just a really good tool. I have used actually a few times already since the beginning, a few times, as you have noticed. And this is a great example. It's actually from developers. So it's maybe if you have not watched this talk, I strongly recommend you to watch it. The talk is called The Art of Destroying Software by Greg Young. This around 4 or 5 years ago. So the interesting thing about this talk, that he was, first of all, You see one slide there at the top, but he used only 2 slides at the very beginning, and then he didn't use slides at all. And he was, most of the time, as you see there, he was sitting down, or sometimes walking, but sitting down at the edge of the audience, very close to the audience. And for several sections of his talk, he was asking questions. So he started the talk saying, how many of you have been in a talk about writing code? Some people raise a hand, or some people say, yes, many. Right after he said, how many of you have been in a talk about refactoring code? Some people raising hands, some people yes, no. But he continued with that dynamic, asking questions. He brought a new point. So this is a new point. And what if, another question. So using that dynamic of asking questions, some questions in which he expected an answer, another question in which he doesn't expect an answer. So he at some point says something like, what if you design from the beginning to be able to delete code? So he's talking about refactoring, but he asked that question in a way that what is called rhetorical question. You ask a question in order to make people think, yes, what if we do this? So question, expecting answer, or rhetorical questions, he used many, and this is an excellent resource. And this is just another example of rhetorical question. Or what if we had to do only virtual presentations for the rest of our lives? No, I'm not expecting an answer from you, but I want you to think of that. So questions are very powerful because people will either answer or think about, and by thinking about of your question, they will reflect on your topic and they will be connected to your topic. One tool, very simple tool that is also good for teletransporting you to my living room to make a strong connection is this, especially in longer events when there are, for instance, one speaker before or third speaker before my talk, there are other speakers after me. There's a longer event typically, but this strategy is also useful, and it's very simple. It's just a post-it note, because most of the preparation we do is, of course, before the talk. A lot of preparation to have a successful talk, that's clear. But this post-it note represents the moment, the present moment. So the very last day, you had a post-it note and you write this down. For instance, what has happened today? There has been any interesting news which I can bring to my talk. Mention previous speaker, mention the following speaker, how you know him or know her, you know what they are going to talk about. They just said. So that's super useful. It's something that is happening in this event, in this talk. So blending that, it's super powerful because it shows you that we are not in our, first of all, this webinar is not recorded, this is not pre-recorded, first of all, and also show that I am connecting with the audience. So it's important to include the present moment and in your talk. So make people feel that you are there, that we are in the same room. We are in, you came to my living room. So these are the 3 most essential tools I want to show you today. Passion, ignite your audience with your passion. Humanize technology with stories. And teletransporters to your living room, connect with the audience. I will give you now one bonus tool, one fourth, which I call paint a picture in our minds. The speaker has to paint a picture in the audience's minds. So how is that? What is the tool? Well, the tool is just using metaphor. That's the tool. So I'll show you some examples, some best practices about using metaphors. Metaphor we use every single day. Definition is a figure of speech or a phrase that the important thing is that it replaces another word, replaces the literal meaning to suggest likeness or analogy between them. That's the important thing. It replaces. You are using a word or a phrase that replaces the literal meaning. And we use a lot of that. One example, very everyday example is this. It is going to be clear skies from now on. Clear skies is a metaphor, no? Things smooth, quiet, no problems, clear skies from now on. I'm sure many of you have used this one or similar. Then some examples, now real examples, we have from Mikko Hipponen in his, well, actually that's the title of one of these TEDx talk, The Internet is on Fire. That's already around 6 years ago. He was talking already six years ago. Remember, in these days, we are talking about the Pegasus project, the surveillance. He was talking 6-7 years ago about the surveillance, state surveillance, which was already a real problem. And the metaphor comes, the internet is on fire because we have to act. If your house is on fire, you are not going to calm down. You are going to, well, try to extinguish the fire or take your family out and call the firemen. You have to take action. So he was saying that the internet is already in the danger of the surveillance, and we have to take action. So that's his point. The internet is on fire. Another example, this one is, I don't know how familiar you are with this term. Exercise is a supercharged 401k for your brain. And 401k is the name how in the US they call a type of retirement plan. So might be not familiar with you, but it's a good metaphor as well. Then listening with your skin, listening very careful, paying attention when someone tells you, or when you are like in a choir, doing something together, listening very carefully, listening with your skin, another metaphor. This is from investment or finances. Focus on the forest and forget the trees. Focus on the big picture, the full portfolio investment, and forget the trees. Don't pay too much attention of one of the assets of the portfolio. That's also a good one. Oh, this was come from the founders of Brewdog, the Scottish brewery. Defend your gross margin like a junkyard Rottweiler. So they defend it very fiercely, very fiercely. So those are also quite good metaphors. So why using metaphors? First of all, metaphors simplify complex concepts. So that's one of the main challenges of speaking technology, very complex concepts, new ideas that nobody has heard before. So they are difficult to introduce them. So metaphors can help you to simplify these complex concepts. And the idea here is to connect this new concept with an idea that is already familiar to the audience, like on fire, a house is on fire. Everybody understands what is the danger of a house on fire. So connect with that, something that's already familiar. And metaphors use visual language that is easier to remember. That's what I say, that paint a picture on the audience's mind, because when someone hears a metaphor, I will paint a picture. I will create a visual image in my mind, and that will help me for understanding. And that is the power of metaphors. A couple of best practices here. Metaphors are effective when connecting to two different fields that are very distant, but your audience has to be very familiar with one of them, because if you connect two fields that are unfamiliar, well, that's not going to help. One has to be very familiar and the other unfamiliar. That's important. And a practical that you can put in action already today, actually, by hearing this talk, this webinar, you can already put in practice this one, is every time you hear or read a good metaphor, a striking metaphor that you think is good, is unique and powerful, jot it down, write it down so you don't forget it. So write down your metaphors, make a list of metaphor on some notebook or some program, some software you use, and keep a list of metaphors because you might need them. It might be useful for the future when you want to explain something. So that's something I absolutely would recommend you. So finalizing this section with a metaphor. So make your voice be music to your audience ears, another metaphor. So now the last thing I would like to show now is very briefly a couple ideas how, especially as more than half of you have not spoken or hardly spoken in events, how to get started. I'll give you just, there are many more ideas on the book, of course, but I will share with you just a few of them. I think the top, in my opinion. Yeah, one of the reasons people don't start speaking is because they don't feel they have a topic. You need a topic or several, but you need to start with one at least. So you need a topic. How to find my topic? What will be the best topic for me? So finding your topic is, of course, one of the very first tasks. And you have to combine these three elements, or at least two of these elements, maybe the three of them. First of all, it's about what is the knowledge that you have and others don't, or very few have. So I'm sure you have some knowledge or some experience, some expertise that you and very few people know it. So that already, it's one of the main ingredients for a topic, something that you know and others don't. Then your genuine interest, this is connected to passion. Your genuine interest, what is your passion? First of all, in technology, can be in something that you work directly and or something technology that you don't work directly, but you can find the connection. Or of course, as I said, another interest outside, completely outside the technology, completely outside the professional life, can be a hobby, a cause that you support. Think of that. And the third element that you could use to find a topic is a special opinion about something. It's like Greg Young in this The Art of Destroying Software. He was talking about his own opinion about how people should delete code in order to make things simple, refactoring code. He brought his own opinion about the papers about software engineering, etc. So he was bringing his own opinion in that talk, and it was super interesting, I have to tell you. So if you try to find these 3 points, ideas on these 3 points, if you combine them, I'm sure you're going to find a topic or even several topics. So start with these 3 points, try to find them, and you will find definitely good topics for you. Now, something else is about applying for conference, just a couple of ideas here. One thing that, of course, you can search call for papers or open application or call for speakers, and the keyword, your city or your country or your the tools you use, the software language you use, etc. You can search. Yeah, perfect. That's the most basic, and you have to do that. You will find. But others that are not so common, actually, if you know already some colleagues or friends who already are speaking in conferences, well, talk with them, because they might have a knowledge of conferences that they are not advertised openly, not so much. There are many conferences who they are rarely advertised. It's just word of mouth. Or even if it's advertised, you could be the first one to approach them, because at the time the others is public, you already have approached them. And finally here, okay, make a list of speakers who you have seen in your field. Such speaker like Greg Young, for instance. Greg Young, check in which conferences, in which events he has spoken. So you make a list, and many of those events will be potential for you as well, if he is on your field. That's one example. And the final is, you have to pitch yourself. You have to promote yourself. You have to show that you are an interesting speaker. That's more importantly. And for that, show your motivation. So when you submit, if you have your website, or you have in your LinkedIn section that say I speak, make it interesting. Show your motivation. So that I'm passionate about sharing these ideas in the industry. I'm motivated to make an impact in the industry with these topics. And of course, a personal touch. Show something about yourself. That's really like the Soledad Penades, no? Showing, okay, I'm foreigner here in London, I'm struggling with language. Show something personal, and show I run marathons, etc. Something that shows about yourself will be also they're good to show the personal touch. And now that I was talking about Soledad, one road, actually, interesting road, she's not the only one. I discovered some other speakers in technology. They started blogging. So they did not started going to meetups, conferences. They started having a blog, sharing their ideas in blogs for some time, and which for some people might be easier, more less stressful. Just you publish a blog and nobody will, you don't have to jump to the stage. So that's another way. Start blogging, start sharing your ideas, even written. That will also help you to put your ideas together, to add stories in the blog. That is one way also. So explore that as well. If you like writing, of course, if you are comfortable writing. Not everybody likes writing, but that's one way that is not so common. So I share this with you. So this is what I wanted to show you today. I think at this point we can open for some questions if there are.
Yes, thank you. I have my own notes here. You cannot see those, but I have 2 pages of notes that I would like to say to our audience. First of all, Oscar, thank you. And right on time, my own experience that you said that find your topic. And amen, I have to say that earlier, before I was a regular speaker, I didn't know what my topic was, and I was so unsure about what I'm doing, and I struggled with memorizing the content I was speaking. But when I found my topic, I really understood that this topic is where I am good, and it gave me lots of skills to be a better speaker. And I have been focusing only this one topic since, and it made my life so much easier. It was really good point. And for our audience, I would like to remind you that Mimmit Koodaa program offers you platform to train your speaking. This Friday webinar time is in your use if you have find your topic, and if you want to have a safe place to rehearse your topic and share your expertise with others. So please contact us, Milja, Sanna, or info@mimmitkoodaa.fi. One question to Oscar. Can we get the list of these books and presentation you were recommending to us, that we could look these later?
Yeah, I can send you the link, the list of the videos, for instance. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can send these to audience with your information. And here in chat, there's a couple comments that I would like to read to you. Nora earlier wrote about the storytelling, that humans are storytelling animals, is said about human communication. And Senia wrote that human brains like to make everything a story. That's how our brains are wired. So it's really easy to remember stories. But also there's a question, could there be too many stories to tell? How to find the limit, how to tell these stories?
Yeah, definitely. That's a very valid question, because at some point you might have not enough stories, but if you keep collecting and using and being active, you will have many stories, of course. You will have to choose the right stories for the right talk. Every talk is different. The stories are used to support a point. So you have, typically there's one main point in the talk, and typically there are like maybe 3 subpoints. So it can be for the main point or for the subpoints. The stories are mostly to support those. So that's the main reason to use them, to support those, or in other cases to introduce something new. But you use only the ones you need. The others, you can use them, tell them very shortly, anecdotally, or leave them for another topic, for another talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Also about this telling too much stories, if audience, you women would like to set up a speakers club to train together, that is also an option, and we also can hire a coach to us, because this is a really important topic, because in tech stages we are not seeing enough minority people and diverse people and women there, so we really need to step up and be there for others who represent minorities also in tech. So this is really important topic. Is there any other questions at this moment? At the chat there is not, but I think that we could continue discussions in Mimmit Koodaa Slack and also Level Up Ompeluseura Slack, and I will also send the link to Oscar's LinkedIn to chat. I think Oscar is okay with the networking with our community. So send the connection request to Oscar, and we will send all the information about the Rock the Tech stage and all these recommendations that Oscar gave us today. And let's see how many of you we will see on tech stages in this year and next year. Thank you, Oscar, for your time and your effort, and it was really nice to see you. It has been a long time, and we will see you again. Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much.